Hi, this is going to be a daily experience video, and it's not going to be about today. The only thing I've done today is that I had a little conversation with Jesus about a lot of silly thoughts I have these days, and it was a great time and great relief when I had breakfast, and here I am recording videos, so there is not much to talk about today. But a few weeks ago, I was preparing a youth camp. I was preparing an apartment for a youth camp. So I was just cleaning up, tidying up, and things like that. And I went there alone to do that. So I knew that I would have to have a lot of time alone and in silence. And I was so excited because even if I don't live a very busy life in Budapest, there is this busyness surrounding me and trying to pull me into the busyness. So I'm very strict about, like, I'm not busy in the morning until like 12 or 1 p.m. to be with God. But after that time, I'm really busy, and sometimes so my silent time is very silent, but every other time is not very much silent. And I was really excited to be in a place where the non-silent time is very silent as well. So even the surroundings are calling me into silence, and this is kind of a helpful thing. Like, it's not like swimming against the flow. You are swimming with the flow, and it can be easier, I think. So that's what I was expecting, that I will go into deeper silence, because there are levels to silence, probably endless levels of silence. I'm only scratching the surface, so I can't really tell you much about it. Only thing I know is that there are times when I'm like more silent, like my mind is more still than at other times, and sometimes I sense falling into deeper silence. I'm gonna go a lot of rabbit trail in this video, so it's only going to make sense to you if you practice silence regularly. Otherwise, it will be a random rambling of a Hungarian girl, which it is actually. But if you experience the same, maybe you can relate to me. So I went there. I was super excited. Now I'm gonna really be silent, and it was hard. And it was like my mind was protesting against me. Like, if I have my little morning silence time with God, at a certain point of it, after a lot of struggle, I end up giving myself up, surrendering and letting go and enjoying non-action. But it was harder there. I don't know why. Sometimes when I have like 10 seconds or 10 minutes, just, oh, here I am. And it's super good. And it's super deep. And when I like give a lot of time to it, it's harder. I don't know why. Maybe you experience the most resistance when you want to be with God. And sometimes I feel like all the lies in my head are shaking and afraid of, like, oh, she's gonna be with God for a long time, it's over for us, let's protest. So my mind was so busy, and it was so wanting to flee away from God. For first few days, it was like I enjoyed it, and I was in a still way, but my mind was raging. And I was so upset after a while because I was rethinking conversations from decades ago. I don't know, like I was thinking it over and over again about things that doesn't mean anything to anyone and won't affect anybody in any galaxies. So it made no sense to me to think about those things, and still I couldn't stop. I was like an addict, and if I tried to stop it, my mind came up with another idea. And this in-between phase was quite long when you are like, when I was like no longer doing things to distract my attention from my own mental struggles, but I also wasn't already in the phase when my mind led has given up thinking altogether. So in this in-between stage, you can really suffer because you are left with your own thoughts. So you can flee away into some other activity, but you cannot also give them up to enjoy stillness. So you are stuck with your own thoughts and there is no escape for you. So it was a hard thing, and usually it's a few minutes or a few hours for me in my regular routine, but giving that much time to it, it was like days. And after a while I was really, really upset, which is not a good thing because it's not about like reaching a goal. But that's how my mind works. Like, oh, this is my goal, I want to be silent, and it doesn't work for me. None of those thoughts make any sense because this is who you are, this silence in the core of your being. So you don't have to get there or climb yourself up to be in the presence of God. But this very lie that you are not there makes you experience you are not there. So you need to give up the lie, but you can't give up the lie because this is what your head is shouting. So yeah, it's quite, it was hard, and I was surprised that it was that hard because I was like, I'm practicing this thing for years. Like, it cannot be that I'm doing way worse than ever before. So I was like frustrated, which is the silliest thing to do when you want to give up all your thoughts and emotions. So frustration is quite the other way around. And yeah, it's like you enjoy what there is, the ever present presence of God. So having any kind of expectation or goal or struggle makes no sense because you want to be who you are without the struggles and expectations. However, I knew it was all the game of the mind and all the noise of my psychological things. I couldn't get rid of it. And you know, the harder I tried not to think about it, the more I thought about it, which is also not a good thing to do. So you shouldn't try that. And at a certain point, when I was like really upset with my thoughts and replay of conversations and meaningless speculations, and it was like I was so aware of the vanity of it, because when you are in the flow, you kind of feel like, oh, I'm just planning things. I'm just giving myself feedback how things happen, and you know you can't explain it in a real situation, but it was so heightened. It was obvious that it has it is it is no reason to it. Like, maybe when I do the very same thing at a lower scale, it looks like it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense even then. So maybe I can stop this altogether. Giving myself the sense of safety through thinking about things I cannot really influence. So I was laying on the beach, it was beautiful, and I was experiencing some kind of silence throughout these days, but still something in the core of my being wanted to flee from this. And I was so tired, I was just laying on my back listening to some songs. And I know how this works. I've experienced it so many times. The moment you give up, you find yourself in the very center of the thing you were dreaming to reach. So yeah, I felt like I started to give up, and it's so good. And of course, if you practice silence, it's not a good thing to analyze what is happening to you. It just the other way. You shouldn't do that. Still, I've done that, and I was just like a little bit observing what's going on in my brain, and so it's not something you should do, but I'll tell you what I experienced. And I saw that my thoughts are like getting distant and meaningless, and if I started to think about them, it was a joyful thing. It was like something that was mine and not me, and it was a slow, silent and neutral place I was looking at the world from. And it felt like I wanted to stay there forever. It felt like nothing is happening to me, and still it's the best thing I ever felt. And I've felt it quite a few times, but it felt new again, and something very good and very easy, and something I cannot do anything for, and I cannot help falling deeper into it. And I enjoy that I was able to fall deeper into it, and I wasn't fleeing from it, and I just let it happen. So I was laying on my back for a few hours on the beach in the only shadow. There were some like fishermen walking by looking at me, what I was doing. I looked like I was sleeping, I think. And from then on, the last few days of this little trip was amazing. and it was like I was accumulating silence. It makes no sense, only if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not expressing it very well. It was like I, I didn't need to like go through the very same process, not even faster, but it was like I was cleaning up again, and the moment I sat down, I was there. And I didn't need to go through the struggle and the giving up and letting go and this, all that. It was like there was a shortcut for me. um, and I felt like I'm falling deeper into that silence as the days went by, and even if I did things, cleaning and tidying, it was so easy and simple and joyful. Even the things around me started to love me. It felt like, how cute is that fisherman walking by the sea? How cute is that little girl riding the bike? What a gift that I found my favorite cake in the shop, that I found another towel that I can do the cleanup with. Everything started to become a gift because I had like zero expectations, so everything became a gift. It was really good. And sometimes I think like, oh, it's extreme. Like, oh, I feel like things start to love me and everything. It feels like everything centers around me, which sounds very selfish, but you feel so loved that it looks like the whole world is loving on you. And I remembered when I was in depression, I've done the very same thing in the negative. Like, I was so upset that I felt like everyone is against me and hated me, and even the objects in my room felt like they are hating me and they are against me. And yeah, I just experienced the complete opposite. You know that you start to project what's inside you, and I started to feel super easy and calm, and very simple and ridiculous things started to give me joy. Just the same way when you are upset and how dare this person stand in front of me in the line, and you are angry with people who have done nothing or very little to make you angry, and you just project your feelings onto them, and you can do the very same projections with your silence and joy. So probably I don't know what state of mind the fisherman and little kid and the customer were in the town. All I knew is that they were part of my world of like Wonderland. And yeah, so the last few days were like super easy and joyful. And what I realized is that when I was doing things, it was it didn't wear me out. I have already felt quite a few times that when I experienced God and the presence of God, after that it was very easy to do things, and I could do a lot of things without getting tired. And now I realized why is it so. Not the thing we do makes us tired. What makes us tired is pre-thinking and projecting and analyzing and criticizing and reviewing why we are doing it, and afterwards analyzing it again and replaying again and rethinking again. And actually we do like every action and thought, like not once but hundreds or thousands of times, and we multiply by the thousands all the things we do and think, and this is what makes us tired. So after hours of silence, going down and cleaning the kitchen and going back to the silent state, it felt great. It felt great like that I could like move myself and do something physical, and it gave me joy, and it gave me joy when it was over and I could go back to silence. I was silent the whole time, but I could go back like just doing silence. Doing silence kind of doesn't make sense, but yeah, so you get what I mean. And I felt like it's so easy and so light and so not burdensome. And many times God tells me like, you can do this and this and this and this. And in a few seconds later, I feel like, just be with me and shut everything in your life. And I'm sometimes like, I'm puzzled, like, what are you talking? You're talking about two opposite things. I know they can merge in some way, but they are in tension in my life, like action in non-action. And they are still in tension, but I had a glimpse into what God might be talking about when He's leading me into silence and into action at the same time. It's like you can do things in a non-active way. When you're not fleeing from anything, you're not busy, you're not analyzing, you're not overthinking, you're not replaying it, when you are not doing it thousands of times in your mind, only once. And a conversation is like, if you just let things flow through you and then you enjoy silence again, it doesn't wear you out. What wears you out is like analyzing whether they got offended, what they were thinking about you, just meaningless things. This is what makes you like super tired. So when we say that, oh, it was so tiring, no, it wasn't the thing that was tiring. What you've done with it, and how many times you've done it inside, this is what wore you out. And sometimes when we talk about like, shut up and just be silent, don't do things, just enjoy who you are, just practice the presence of God in tranquility. When we talk about this, our surroundings and many times our thoughts tell us that then you won't accomplish anything, then your whole life is going to be destroyed and devastated, and you will be lazy and good for nothing, and you won't use your talents. And we hear those thoughts, and I hear those thoughts, and it's such a lie. It's such a lie. If you are in this state of silence, you can do things very quick, very easy, and you can enjoy. If you are in this state, you can have a lot of nothing, and you can have a lot of action as well. Because the actions you do don't tire you, and don't occupy your mind. And I'm not there. I'm only scratching the surface. It's like I caught a glimpse of this on this little trip. Unfortunately, when I came back, after a few days of like staying in the same mindset, I went back into my regular routine, which is silence in the morning till 12 or something, and then doing things. But I felt very intense call and pull into like spending more time in silence and living somewhere outside of the city. And yeah, I feel like I want to do that very hard. um yes, the last few days of this thing it was like I don't even want to move anywhere. I don't want to do anything else than that. um there were times when I literally didn't want to move, because I felt like everything is perfect here and now, and why should I ever move anything again? And of course, it's a state of mind. It's not like you won't actually do things. But it feels like you're so full that you're okay, even if you don't do anything again. And we have no concept of doing things not for the sake of proving and striving and all that. Like, we have no idea that sometimes I'm afraid that if I will be so satisfied, I won't be motivated to do things that I'm supposed to do. And it's such a lie. Probably you won't be motivated to do a lot of rabbit trails and needless actions, but you will do those things that you have to do. Because like we are like rats, running around, and wear ourselves out. And when we stop doing this, it looks like dangerous, because oh, my whole life is gonna collapse. No, finally you only do the things that you have to do and not thousands of other unnecessary things. So by the end of those days, I felt like I don't even move that much unnecessarily. I don't think that much unnecessarily. Only spot on what has to be, what has to happen. And it's so easy, and you have so much time left when you only do that, what has to be done. It's scary. Like, oh, what do I do with that much time? Yeah. I hope that this video was relatable to you. If you don't practice silence regularly and practice the presence of God in silence, then you should just start doing it. Like, try half an hour, 10 minutes, and you will understand what I'm talking about. Most of it, both the struggles and maybe the joy as well. So it's not a super spiritual thing I was talking about. Like, you sit down for a few minutes and you will know what I'm talking about. So it's not something very special, high level, whatever. It's the thing you will face at the first practice, and the things you might face few years later as well, as it happened to me. Have a great silent time. Blessings to you. And you can write to me your experiences related to silence and practicing the presence of God. I really love reading comments that are like meaningful. So if you just write rage comments, I won't read them. I don't have time for that. But if you write about what you're experiencing with God, I'd love to read it, and I'm gonna react to it. God bless you.